Hello. Oh damn, a lot of people were queued up. It's good to see all of you. I don't mean to sound so surprised, but I am. I'll give it a second, let people filter in. It looks like they're still filtering in. Hello. Oh, there you are, Pudding Gal. Or is it Pudding Al? I'm gonna call you Al from now. All right, it looks like it's stabilizing a little, the viewership. So I'm gonna give it like 30 more seconds and then I'll start. Free period. Okay. Okay. First, hello. How is everybody today? I hope that you're all doing well, and that if you're not, that you do. Argentina. There's a lot of people from Argentina that are around, like, all the time. It's kind of crazy. But hello. Hey, Josh. Josh is here, which is good. I'm glad he's here again. Crimson is here. Nice. Okay, well, why are we here today? Today, I wanted to essentially establish a fresh start. It's not really a fresh start. We're not restarting, but I'm just going to reiterate some of the things that I've said before about the platform, about the goals of the platform, where I see it going, explain the individual components of the platform, because I've gotten a lot of things up to speed. I have my computer over here. It has my notes on it. Yes. We're going to talk about the goals of the platform, where I see the platform going, reiterate community interaction guidelines, because why not? If we're talking about everything else, we might as well talk about this. Talk about moving to a schedule and the way in which I will be releasing my art. Because I even had to check myself a couple times, like looking at stats, like, oh, how many people listened to this today? And I'd be like, oh, there's still only 21 views. Oh, God. But that's not what it's for. So that's not a diss or a calling anyone out. That's me in self-awareness, self-recognition, understanding that even though I have strong intentions for things, I can sometimes get a little tangled up in other realities. But views do not matter. I think when I think of things like that, I'm just more like, how did people receive it? How did it interact with them, this object, this projection that I've surfaced? And then finally, and tentatively, I want to give that third community update that I was talking about. I had asked you all to prepare yourselves, open your minds for some information. In one way or another. I don't think I asked so directly, but that's what I had intended to ask. I say tentatively because it's still as serious as it has been. But given my current circumstance in the moment, which I'll describe in a second, I just don't know if I am prepared to follow all the way through on the update. Meaning I might stop and then start, or start and then stop. There you go. And so yeah, that's what's going on. So thank you all for joining, and thank you to all of those who are joining us out of time. You're perfectly on time. Okay, so my circumstances right now are kind of important. I should share them with you guys because it is going to affect my ability to interface to a certain degree. I'm not sure what the certainty is, but to a degree. I just suffered within the last 90 minutes an executive functioning meltdown. That was not the most serious that they can be, but definitely draining, disorienting, and frustrating. I don't want to say aggravating because it's not really aggravating. It's more like, now I can't unfeel it. You know what I mean? So I just need a second to refeel something else. Which I think this will be helpful for that process, communicating these things. Nothing works as good as a reset for a reset. You know what I mean? So since we're getting back to ground zero here, and this was already going to happen before I had my episode, it would be helpful for me to, in my episode, or in the recovery process of my episode, have a fresh start. Okay, so I think I actually kind of wrote these backwards. Now that I'm looking at them, I think that the first thing I want to talk about is not the platform goals or the trajectory of the platform, but to talk about moving to a more rigid schedule with the way that I interact in terms of meditations, in terms of stories and whatnot. That one's going to be hard, the stories, to change, because I typically interact with information as it comes up. So that'll be a fun little game to play with myself, is getting something and taking time to fully process it. You know, if I only post on Thursdays about certain things, for example, I would have to wait until Thursday to say something, which has potential to be helpful, but it also may not be relevant for that process. So stories are still tentative. For the last couple of weeks, have been doing a couple of experimental things, putting up art, interacting with all of you on both Instagram and YouTube. And the reason that I've been doing these experimental things is to, one, bring parts of the system that are not up to speed, but also to gauge audience interaction. There you go. And I think I know how to work with it now, because everybody's got their time zones and their capacity to interact at a certain level, or to be so transparent at a time. So I've just been thinking about what would be best if I wanted to continue interacting in a constructive way. What would be the best way to interact with all of you? So figuring out what days were best, and giving the cool down meditation a couple of tries. It kind of helped me fine tune some of these elements. And I think that a really good time in the week for the meditation, live stream meditations, would be Tuesday at 6 p.m. MST and Friday. I actually forgot the second day, so I'm just looking real quick. Yeah, I think it's Friday, because I already put it on my calendar, like my whiteboard. But yeah, I thought one at the beginning of the week and one at the end of the week would be helpful. It's a warm-up and a cool-down for the community, I think. Or at least, not I think, but that's how I see it. And I would be interested to see how it affects the audience, affects those who are participating. Because a lot of people who have tuned into the meditations, the live streams, they have found it helpful or cathartic in certain ways. And I think placing, instead of doing like one meditation a week, doing one at the beginning and one at the end. It helps people to, it will help those participating to engage with their daily lives, come into the energy, reflect on it in a certain way, or engage with it in a certain way, and then kind of go back to the life, test it out, and then when we cool down, a lot of people have the weekends off. Maybe that's not so true anymore since COVID. I actually don't know that one, but how about you guys tell me, do you, see, the thought slipped out, hold on. This is one of the symptoms of my episodes. My words get caught up. I use a lot more of the uhs, ands, sound transitions. Placeholder thoughts come out, and it gets hard to speak at length about things. Even though I'm speaking a lot about something, it's hard for me to have that longer sentence about it. But let's see here. Oh yeah, do you guys work, like when are all of your guys' days off? Because a lot of you, I have to acknowledge too, that a lot of the engagement isn't coming from the US, it's coming from other countries. So, some of those are, those people are in Argentina, and for example. And so knowing what the schedule is like for people in that time or around that time is super helpful. Because ultimately it's not possible to get everyone in at the same time, but it would be nice to get as many people as possible in at the same time. And the best way to do that is to ask you, what does your schedule look like? Because I want to know if Tuesdays and Thursdays are good days. Some people maybe don't even need that. Maybe just one a week would be helpful. Maybe two is too much. We're going to figure it out. This entire process, this is the void. It is a process that helps me to see certain things about myself. And in order to do that, I have to socialize. And what's really fun about that is building the community. So not only am I here for me, but I also want to be here for you guys. And with that being said, I saw somebody ask if it's MS or PST Pacific. It's MST, Mountain Standard Time. Usually we're on the same time track, but sometimes for literally no reason we go adjusted by an hour. Okay, yeah, so Tuesdays and Fridays for at least the next 2 or 3 weeks, those are going to be the community meditations, the live streams, the cool downs that I was talking about, have been talking about. That is super bright now in all my face. I've also had people come to me about the meditations and these postings and other interactions, and talk about how it is helpful for them to have a place to at least observe the interaction, but also to interact with that interaction. I've seen that a lot of people that come, or the people that come to the YouTube live streams, the meditations, they do talk to each other. And also I encourage people on here to talk to each other in the comments of my posts through time. Because that's cool, but also some of the people who used to be here might not be here anymore, or some of the people who maybe got confused about some of the stuff that I was doing, they just fell out. So, it's helpful to go back and comment on certain things and get attention, or give attention to those people. Let them know that there is a space here for expression and communication, and that it is growing. It will continue to grow, and that's a thing I'll get to in a second. But yeah, I thought, okay, there we go. Yeah, that was the thought. I thought these meditations, I've seen them be a useful environment for communication. So I will be holding more regular meditations just for the next couple of weeks to see how they feel, and see if that is more helpful in allowing people to communicate with each other. Because it's kind of like this situation. Like a lot of people are commenting and engaging right now, and I haven't had a chance to look. I'll look when I'm done with the topic. But I can see what you're saying, and other people can see too, so you guys can talk to each other. It's really cool because the last 2 meditations, one which was on the summer solstice and one which was on the last cool down, people were just talking about their struggles and finding themselves in what I was saying and in each other, and getting advice, and it's moderated. So these are things that can be moderated too, like these live streams, but I can, I think, moderate more easily on YouTube. I just like it better. I don't know why I was saying that, because as soon as I said it, I was like, it's really not that hard though. It doesn't really change depending on the platform. So like it does, but it doesn't. It's the same function. It just looks a little different. If even a little different. Anyways, I think that by having the meditations on Tuesdays and Fridays, we can have a warm up and a cool down for the community, and also these, the regularity of these events would be useful, constructive in creating an environment where people can talk to each other regularly about their experiences in life and their perspectives on it. Okay, I see the next point. We're going to cut it. I'm going to look at the comments real quick. Make sure I'm catching y'all's thoughts. Let's go back to the beginning. Oh, haircut comments. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's long. The hair's long. This mustache is killing it. I'm actually kind of glad that G cut it up here. They did all this time. But they cut it up here because I just recently... Well, I don't know if they did this way. I just know that I saw it this way. I just released the Then retrospective, which is essentially an expansion on my first EP, which is no longer available for streaming. A reimagining of sorts that includes stuff from where I will be going. Okay. And the cover for that album, the original album, is the same cover for the reimagining, which is the retrospective, which I posted. It might still be on my story, but it's on my SoundCloud regardless. I'm still working on the mix for that one, but we'll get to that in a second too. There's a lot of things to talk about today. But yeah, I think that they did this because, like, cut it up a little higher because that's the way I cut the mustache for that picture. But I don't know if they did that for that reason, so. But I appreciate the comments. I also like the look. Like I said, somebody asked how I was doing. For those of you who are just now joining, I'll just reiterate. I had a pretty challenging executive functioning meltdown right before I got on. So my voice is hoarse and my energy is kind of all over the place. But I swear, I'm hanging in there. Also, I have to learn how to work through that because I'm not always going to be able to just like freak out and then not talk to people. Like, it's just not a good policy if like you're doing interviews or you're trying to hold community events and spaces like I am. Like, you know, I can't be over here like, oh, I hit catastrophic meltdown. Now I'm just too tired to go do the thing I know will help. So that's what's going on. I'm working through I'm continuing on with the show while working through a meltdown that I did not anticipate at all. Today is really nice. Netherlands, nice. Argentina, Netherlands, US. That's awesome. I'm so happy I have people from around the world here. Today is really nice. Actually, I was, right before my meltdown, I was sitting outside writing notes for this, which are right over here on the computer, like I said. And it was raining. It was really nice. It's been super cloudy, and kids have been outside playing and shit. It's awesome. I'm going to let you guys know how you can help in a second. Open your mind, Quad. Open your mind. I knew he was saying something that entire episode. Like, I was just like, Morty's obviously saying something. I wonder how they're just going to break the news, because there's no way that this was an unseeable thing. You know what I mean? And then they finally did. And I just thought it was funny. Every time he said, open your mind. He's like, I'm literally trying to talk to you. Would you please open your mind? I'm literally trying to talk to you. Yeah, my mind closed pretty hard, like an hour and a half ago. It went like this. Oh, son. Oh, fuck. No. And then a couple times I was like, hey, it's chill. We're good. Calm down. And then I try to like move beyond that energy, and all of a sudden it'd be like, oh, fuck. Oh, no. It's like, dude, chill. I am literally going to be in a problem now because you won't chill. It's not really a problem. It's just a bit of self-awareness, you know. Which I have a way of being self-aware in a critical way first before becoming open-minded about things. I'll say pointed things like I just said, and then I'll be like, no, not that, but you know that. It's like it's that, but it's not that, and it's still that. Okay, so just deal with it. We're almost there. We're almost back to the bottom. I'm so happy we helped you out. Yeah, G and I like to talk like that all the time, so I'm glad that you guys found that helpful. I'm glad I'm meditating with you all as well. No, it's literally a gray day today. Somebody said, I don't fully understand the language, but your aura transmits calm on this gray day. That touched me. I thank you. Which is super nice to say, and I appreciate that. Today, this sun is brand new. It's only sunning right now, really, while I'm live streaming. I'm affecting the weather. Hey, but maybe I'm not. It's all, and it isn't, huh? No, it's been very great today, and it's been really nice, like I said. ADHD monkey brain. You talk to yourself in your head. Helping Dogs 76. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you know, today for me, in terms of clearing my mind, I think I feel that especially today because I'm working through a meltdown right now, so I definitely feel the need to clear the mind, but it gets a little too clear sometimes, you know, it's like, hey, no, we were still talking. that thought was still rolling. But okay. But also, I woke up today with a very specific energy. I thought it was Tuesday. I told G I was doing a meditation and everything. That's not today. That's tomorrow. Because today's Monday. And I was just like, there's something I have to do. And part of it is taking care of my body. Because I've been hardcore relaxing for a few days. And my body's now like, no, you need to like go do something. Like use this energy. And also, you know, I have my notes here today because I wrote stuff down that actually matters. And I do need to say these things. Especially when it comes to the community update. But like, I could not hold it in my head. I was just like, I need to write this out. So I feel that I'm needing to clear the head, and I understand that it's challenging, and so I feel you. And but I always get weird about things like monkey brain, you know. It's like, I understand what you're saying, because I would say like lizard brain too for certain things, but like, I feel like people use that in such a derogatory manner these days. Like being an animal is a bad thing. And I talk to myself like all the time, so I feel that. Like I'll do it out loud though. I'll talk in my head, but I talk out loud. I kind of freak people out sometimes. I remember I have this very specific memory, and a lot of memories are going to come up today, of Isaiah, my brother, the one I was here for last year. He once called me out when we were trying to go to sleep because I was whispering to myself like this, like all night for hours and hours and hours. I literally won't shut up, which is a pointed thing to say and critical, and that's not what I mean. It's very hard for me to detach from an idea once I'm really in it, which is a variation on a theme to our last live stream. I read Kratos with the porn stash, get it, and I almost said stash instead of stream. Oh, I passed the comments. Okay, we're back to the big energy, to the major energy. Yeah, this full moon was like perfect bliss for me. That's why I've been relaxing so hard. I'm getting to the bottom of the comments now. We'll move on to the next topic. But this full moon energy was just so wonderful, and when I started my practice, I did not originally have a lunar practice, but when I lived on the road, I built one because I told a lot of my time off of the moon and the seasons changing, which is also the sun, but not a lot on like actual clocks and calendars. And the lunar practice came when I moved to Yuma. And I spent that year there. And I was inside all the time. And I was like, no, I have to be able to see the moon. What's the point of this awareness if I can't exercise it? So I did. And that's when I made that I'm seeing myself more clearly post, where I had the mandala. You guys remember that? It was the wood piece, and it was a mandala of colors and flowers. It was not a flower. I say it's a flower. It's like the lotus of the mind or whatever. But it kind of has like it's a mandala, I believe is what I should say. It's not a Mandel Moreno. It's a mandala. Language is so tricky. That's when I made that, is when I started acknowledging the lunar thing in what the fuck? I'm sorry for the extreme energy shift. I just saw fireworks, literally. That was cool. And part of that internalizing of the lunar phase was creating the wood talisman, the painting, as a representation of self. And by ritualizing it. So I would have the dates in my calendar, and I would add dates like, okay, this day's the new moon and this one's the full moon. And celebrating those 2 days, 2 weeks apart-ish. And that kind of like naturally shifted all my energy to manifest in certain ways at certain times. And the reason I'm bringing all that up is because I used that window. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in October, November, I had said that when I acknowledged the lunar phase, I acknowledged the new moon to new moon as one circle, and the full moon to full moon as a second circle. And so they're both their own cycles. They are simultaneously peaks of each other and also their own independent cycles. And that's the universe for you. But I always try to achieve a certain state by that time. So I'll be like, okay, well, at the full moon, my ultimate potential is this, and I want to reach that. And then I try to see it, And I've witnessed over a period of about a year now, every time the full moon comes around, it's like I come up to it and then fall away from it. And then I come up to closer and fall away from it, and come up closer and fall away from it. And then now this time for like the last 3 full moons, it's been like, you hit the energy every time you did that. Oh yeah. And now it's just becoming a norm. So that's really neat to acknowledge. But yes, this full moon energy has been pristine and very clean and wonderful. And I'm glad that you all are also thinking about that. Or at least some of you are. Yeah, have you ever... they said that. Okay, we're getting to the next topic. I know I'm saying things that are creating more reality, but it's fine. I talk to myself in my head all day, every day. Oh, this is not the same person. You even argue within your brain. It's Steph. Okay. Yeah. I literally argue with myself. That's what my executive functioning meltdown is. I'm like, look, when I'm fawning and I'm like, oh no, you're right, I'm sorry, I suck, blah, blah, blah. When I'm in the self-repulsion talk, you know that I'm not me right now, and you just need to find a way to get me out of it. Like, hey, you don't say that about yourself. And because if I am in my element, if I am cool, I don't fucking think that. I think that shit's bogus. That shit's, it comes from other people and other situations. It's not mine. It does not serve me. I don't think that I'm a stupid piece of shit. I think that I'm a highly intelligent, valuable human being, and that I would like to share my gifts with other people. Period. But yeah, I argue with myself. Like, when I argue with myself, that's me arguing with myself. I'll literally be like, go fuck you, I fucking hate you. And at the same time, I'll be like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. I literally hate you. Like, stop talking to me. You are annoying. Which is what we were talking actually, yeah, this brings me back to the full moon meditation, because we were actually talking about dialectical behavioral therapy. And that is a solution to what I'm talking about, which is present in my practice. Oh shit. Journaling is a great practice for that. Fireworks. What? Oh, you guys saw that too. It must have been Manny. Manny's here. Hey, there's your mandala, LOL. Facts. Ooh, the eclipse is a different conversation. We'll talk about that. Okay, we made it. Oh shit. What's up, dude? Aiden's here. Okay, next thing. So we talked about the need for the schedule, the intention with the schedule. Now let's talk about content release, because like I said, when I started this, I kind of catch myself looking at like stemming off the stats, and that's fine, but ultimately that's not what's going on. I will not really be advertising any of my art. I don't care to do that. I never did. The reason I did it with a chant is because I wanted it to be a mental health resource. And that's it. So I had a, quote, wave of press, but I stimulated that myself. I had some really cool friends in the process, like Amanda at Amanda Mental Health. Mental Amanda? Is that what? I forget. I think it's Mental Amanda, because every time I think of it, I think, no, I don't think that's it. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. But yes, so as you'll know from watching my story, I just kind of throw my art up whenever it's done. Like, okay, the 2010 retrospective's here. You guys don't even know what that is. Like, I haven't even explained the project to you. And so it's funny when I sit there and stim off the stats, because I'm like, oh, they're not looking at it. It's like, yeah, they're not looking at it because you didn't tell them about it, which is part of the reason I'm here today as well, to tell you about things. I had said earlier I'm going to describe each of the modules of this platform in their entirety because I brought them up to speed. Part of that is describing the retrospective to you. And so, yeah, like anything that I do, I'll probably just throw it out. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, in 3 weeks, I'm going to drop something on you. You're going to fucking lose your mind. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to be like, hey, I did something, here you go. Because in my opinion, all of these tools, the live stream, YouTube, the SoundCloud, DistroKid or whatever the fuck. They're all tools made to amplify the process that I already have of self-realization. And this process is a self-actualization process at its essence. It's a way to hold myself accountable and course correct for my behaviors when the things that I manifest come out unintended. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to be doing press tours and shit like that. It's not going to happen, because in my experience with the art, what I'm making in the moment is a crystallization of that energy in the moment, and I need it for that cathartic release or that whatever I'm doing. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. When I share things with you, I am sharing it with you, but I also would like for you to interact with it. I like to use my art as to do many things. One of them is to express myself, and the other is to communicate with others. And the third hidden meaning of my interaction is that I would like to combine those two interactions so that you can do that with others. And just so you all know, again, I'm going to finish the topic and then go to the questions. Feel free to talk amongst each other, but I also, I see you and I'm going to respond. I see questions here and I'm going to get to it. But yeah, I would like to create a space where I can do that for myself, express and communicate in a way that's authentic to me, to use the tools available to amplify my growth and healing process. And I would like for that interaction to facilitate an environment in which you also will be able to do the very same thing, if that's what you want for yourself. And that's it on the content release, because basically I am working through a lot of feelings and a lot of experiences in my art, and I'm just going to drop it. I'll let you guys know when, for example, I put all of my all my music is going to be on major streaming services soon, including the SoundCloud stuff, which I'll get to how that's going to work out. But so I'll tell you guys when the reach of the art expands and where to go for that. But yeah, I'm just going to drop it. Okay. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. I'm going to be holding like that. And then you guys are going to be like, oh, wow, look, they did something. I will say before I move on, just because, of course, it's in my heart. I see it. I have to process it. This is a process. It is hard for me to see that I'm racking in 500 to 800 regular views, and then to put my art up and for literally 5 people to look at it. Okay? I think the album has 5 plays right now, the then retrospective. I think and this is actually really good, because that means the people who are listening to it are actually listening to all 3 of my retrospectives at once, because they're listening to the EP, the Picture Pieces Volume 1. But it's a little disheartening to see all of this interaction and to go look at it in the art and be like, oh, stemming off the stats, whoa, yay, people actually went and looked at it. I wonder how that was for them. And then to be like, oh, there are 7 people. There are 17 hits now. But that's not even people. It's just hits, right? So it could be the same person over and over again. And if that's the case, you're fucking awesome. And I love you. And thank you for giving me the time of day, because it's very challenging to get people to observe the art, much less engage with it. And the fact that you're watching it over and over again is same thing I said when I released a chant. For all of you out there who are trying to understand the art and truly observe it, the people of you who have watched the movie 10 times, I love you. Okay. So enough about content. Let me go through this real quick. That's the end of the topic. Let's go back through and see what people were saying. There's my mandala. Perfect. An excellent Landmark. Okay. Nice. Helping dogs acknowledge DBT, dialectical behavioral treatment or therapy. And CBT. What's CBT again? I feel like I know that acronym, but CBT. Something, cognitive behavioral therapy? I forget what that is specifically, but I think that's really cool that you have a BA. I'm going to say that says psychology with a focus on CBT because you spelt it like an insane person. Either that or I'm ignorant, which, oh, yep, I'm ignorant. Look, right there, they said psychology. It says psychology. I'm very sorry, helping dog. I'm recovering. Hello? Oh, yeah. So, 5-2 brew. Yes. So that's kind of a lot of the conversation that we're going to have here in a second is about resources and what the point of the platform is and where I see it going and what counts as a resource, what I'd like to do with regards to collecting resources and things of that nature. We'll get there, I promise. But yes, as far as I'm concerned, my art is a resource. It's not self-promotion, it's self-acknowledgement. Everything I do is done to process some kind of psychological evolution. And so in that, by the nature of it, it is something that I feel is helpful in recovering, building, both of them, and the deconstruction and the reconstruction and the construction, so all three of them, of, I guess, the states that certain conditions can manifest. So yeah, until I am able to get my music up on all the major streaming platforms, SoundCloud will be the only available resource for my music. YouTube will continue to be the resource for my memories and the time capsule and potentially more playlists, which could be videos instead of music, and the filmography tab, which is the embodiment of my visual art. So yeah, I will be expanding to other platforms with the music, and I was thinking about a Patreon, but I'm not sure I have the correct business model for that yet, because y'all would be my investors if I had a Patreon. I have considered making a TikTok account, but I post so often, it's actually really hard to get everything. If I had like a team, like a management team, like even just one other person to just put things up, that would be different. But a TikTok's really hard because a TikTok requires engagement like this. So every time I post, I'd have to also post, or I'd have to not only post, but edit. And that is a lot. I'm not saying I won't do it. I'm just saying. Or, hey, I'm down for that. This can be one of the first invitations, community invitations. You know, if any of you would like to work as a moderator for certain social media accounts, I would allow you to do it under certain conditions. Which sounds kind of insane, like, hey, does anybody random from the public want to help me run my TikTok? But yeah, if somebody's out there with the time and the resources to do it and they want to do it, I will send you media that you can post for me. Everybody's down here like, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. I appreciate that. I want to do EMDR. I've been wanting to since 2020. Honestly, I didn't think much about therapy before that. I just, when I realized how severe my memory issues are, I was like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to be hypnotized. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what it would be like to have somebody go in instead of me going in. I'm very open to that kind of stuff. I just haven't had the means to participate in it yet. So, let me know if DBT, CBT, or EMDR have worked for any of you and what your experience is like. And don't put it in the comments unless you really want to. You can send it to me if that's more private. I won't really be able to read them here also. That's kind of why I said to send them to me in the DMs, because I'm also trying to move through these comments real quick. Discord, thank you. I was actually thinking about a Discord. I'm in a Discord community. I'm just now starting to interact with it. I've been in it for like a month or two. Branson, Elevated Stone, my music buddy. Well, he's just my buddy, but we also make music together. And he invited me to a Discord, which he's invited a lot of people to, but it was cool to get an invitation. And I made my first post, basically what this is without all the foreplay, because they don't know me. And it was really cool. I got some cool responses. But yes, I'm thinking about Discord. The same thing with the Patreon, I'm trying to think of the economy of that. Like, how would it work? How could I sustain it? And would it even be worth it to have multiple outlets instead of just one, considering the interactions and how helpful it is to other people? So I'm thinking really hard about all these things. I've actually been thinking about it for about a year now. I don't really know what to do. Okay. Trauma is very hard to treat. Thank you, helping. Yeah, fair. That's one of the reasons that my process is something that only a few people have even tried to use. It's because I essentially created a method of dialectical behavioral therapy for myself, which is intrinsic to my practice. And it's emotionally exhausting. It requires mental fortitude, which you don't initially just have. You have to like build it. And it often just freaks people out, and they think you're either crazy or they don't know what to do, or they get overwhelmed and overstimulated and they disappear. And that's my experience. That's not every experience, okay? But yeah. Trauma is very hard to treat. I'm responding to Helping Dogs 76 about EMDR. I know that it is not a small thing, and that it is a magical ability to be able to fully control that shit. I'm gonna get there. I'm already very far along that path, okay? I think I'm done with the comments. We got some people joining. This is awesome. Keep talking about it if you'd like to keep talking about it. I'm just gonna move on. I just got my throat back into singing position today. It's so sad. And it wasn't even as bad as it could be, but I'm so locked up from relaxing and other things, I just kind of like thrashed it too hard. Oh, God. Oh, hi, buddy. And thank you for sharing that piece of you. I can't look at it right now all the way, but somebody take a look. Okay, and that leads us to ground zero. What is This Is the Void? What does it intend to be in the long run? And how does it intend to do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I've been meaning to tell you. I've been meaning to circle back around, because the last time I brought it up, it was with a bunch of other things. And I think that it would be good to say it from the top to the bottom all over again, right here, right now, because it hasn't been stated in such a serious way. This Is the Void is a platform that is only in its gestation phase. It has not been birthed yet. This platform is built on the predecessors of my social media capacity. I had a website for a while, which I'm still thinking about putting up again, specifically to showcase artists, not really for the blog. But I am thinking about it. Some of you may have been around for that long, which is amazing. But I used to run a website where I'd post fiction and I would write about my projects, some of the scores that I had released on SoundCloud as I was releasing them. It was very much so a Bear McCreary styled industry blog, but more creative, because I'm a free thinker. I'm not saying Bear isn't. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of the stuff they would put up, obviously, is their industry work. And I don't put up industry work at all, ever. But also, I just tend to put up whatever it is that I'm going through or whatever it is that comes to my mind. So, in terms of creativity, I would say my blog had more original content than someone like Bear McCreary's, which is really what I'm saying. And that's not a diss. That's just an acknowledgement. He puts up sports cars and I put up clay models that are made from, like the cheapest clay you can buy. Period. Okay. Back then, I had actually tried to unify my website, my Instagram, my SoundCloud, and my YouTube. But it didn't really work because I didn't really have a YouTube yet. And multiple times on the website, I think maybe 2 official posts, one at the beginning, one at the end, I had specifically invited artists like me to be present on the platform, on the website. I was writing fiction, I was producing fiction of my own, but I was also producing fiction of other people's. A really good friend of mine for a while, Matthew, and I'm going to say your full fucking name because I don't want to call you your nice name, because you're mean. You were mean to me. And I just need to let that out real quick, because I haven't talked about Matthew in a while, online or in front of anybody. I wish I was being dramatic right now. I literally don't want to look at you. Anyways. But he was writing a book. I was producing it with him, and I put up like 4 or 5 chapters on the thing, or collections of chapters. I don't remember if they were just the chapters or if they were the whole thing, but like multiple chapters at once. But for about a solid year, we were putting out pieces of a book he was writing, and I was producing, helping him through the process was what I was doing. And yeah. But my intention in saying that is that I did feature artists, but really only the only artist who wanted to be featured. And nobody ever reached out to me. Like, I had a lot of people at the time who were like, oh my God, you're Chester Bennington's son. Like, what? You have a website, you write stories, you make music, you're making commercials, that's crazy. But it's like I said with the art just a minute ago, where I'd be like, oh, I have 500 interactions on my then retrospective. Let me go look at the stats and just stem off of how many people are interacting with this. Wow. And then it's like 20 hits. Not even people, just hits. It's like, oh man. I felt kind of like that. And, but I understand there were elements to that picture that I could not perceive of in the moment. And that over time, they have become visible. And I understand what they were, and I can work around them. So this is me officially saying it to you. I am looking to support artists. Not just humans, but creative ones who wish to have a space that they can flourish in. It's not management. Don't think that. I'm not saying come here and I'll sign you. I'm not saying come here and I'll take over your entire career and here's a contract. No. What I'm saying is that pro bono, based on only goodwill, I wish to hold a space for you to express yourself in. And at this time, it is free and it is cool. So if you have anything you want to put up, or you want me to link over to people, let me know, because one of the most primary functions of this platform is visibility. So let me make you visible if you like. And that's one side of the coin. And there's another side about humans, and we may or may not get to that soon. But back then I had wanted to work with people. I wanted to support people. And I still like to do that, and I still would like a chance to do that on a bigger scale. So if anybody has anything they want to share, I will say that I do have a process of selection. I do vet the things that I look at. Mostly because I want to resonate with it, but also because sometimes things can be how do I want to say this? I don't want to be offensive. This isn't a dig. Sometimes people say things and do things they're confident in that are things that aren't necessarily things to be confident in. And I think that it's important to make sure you are ingesting and digesting what you think you are ingesting and digesting. And that is the proofing process for me. So, I'll look over the art and see if it's compatible. And if it's compatible, I'll put it up. And it's literally that. It's about compatibility. I just resonate with it or I don't. And it's not to say that it's a comment on the art or a comment on the artist. Nothing like that. And also, I have to be aware of the fact that there's only so much space and time. So I have to, not choose wisely, but be thoughtful in my choosing. Especially if I'm asking people to go around to different platforms or different ideas or different environments. And I don't know those environments personally. It feels like a responsibility. Okay? It feels like a responsibility of mine to look after all of you. Especially if I'm directing you somewhere for a reason. And that's it. So it's not really this crazy process of you have to be a certain level of awesome or whatever. It's just, I'll play it by ear and see how it goes. And that might be one of those things where I add it to the schedule. You know, maybe the day of these weekly meditations, I go on and just throw up a bunch of music or a bunch of art of anybody's who wants to share it, who I, pass the vibe test. And maybe it will just be it's a day on its own. Maybe I could just do it in bursts. You guys just now know that will happen. So now you can interact with it differently. But yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to close down that topic. I'm going to look through the comments real quick. I just wanted to bring up the website and the foundations of the platform before I move on to the rest of the conversation about the platform. Let me see real quick. I would love to hear your poetry. Yes. Link up and support yourselves. Okay. There weren't too many comments, just a lot of people joining on and off, which is awesome. Thank you for being here. Okay, so one of the predecessors of this larger machine was the website. I think it would be cool to have an official place to host art and maybe hold community engagements or even open up a store, because I really like making things, but I don't always have a place to put them, and I think it would be really cool to make art for people. I did this for Amanda. I had mentioned her earlier. I just commissioned a painting for her, and it was so fun. But it was so long ago, and I haven't been able to be online consistently, so... and I also didn't have a need to. I just want to offer that back up. Not only do I want to support artists, but I... want to be an artist who not necessarily sells art, but exchanges art. Because all of my shit's spiritual. You don't just sell something like that. It's got to come to the person, for the person. That's it. I will answer your question in one moment. Just let me finish the thought. So, I was thinking about revamping the website. It's not entirely relevant to the conversation right now because I don't have plans. It's one of those things that I have spent a lot of time thinking about, like Discord, Patreon, and whatnot. But there are those invitations, and there's an idea that I've also been thinking about, which is selling art. And as for your question about G was definitely affected by my meltdown. I would say at the most basic level, we both just had our own energy and they clashed, and that's it. I'm sure it felt like more, and I'm sure that the experience was intense, and that's totally relevant and acceptable. It's unfortunate, but hey, you feel the way you feel, it's okay. And I felt the way I felt, But yeah, they are taking time with themselves right now. That's it. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. And I feel like it's okay for me to say something say a little something about where they're at and what's going on, because I had already mentioned I had a meltdown, and I've been saying I'm trying to be transparent. So respectfully, that's as far as I'll go, but I hope that was a sufficient answer, and I appreciate you asking about my partner. Thank you. I'm sure that they would be very happy to hear that somebody asked about that. Genuinely cares. I do have a Discord handle, but I won't give it out until I'm ready to do the Discord, because I am going to need to moderate and direct energy. I need to set a boundary, and it's not set. So, okay. The other piece of this archaic system was my Instagram, which, as I pointed out in October, November, is basically an archive of my experience from like 2014 to now. It's about 10 years of memories. And not a lot of people know this because I haven't had a chance to talk about it. This is one of the first times I have a chance to talk about it. When I entered into the process of researching myself and so understanding myself, I went back and created digital footprints for myself, my father, and my mother, Elka, because I wanted to know my context. I also did one for the U.S. government military history as well. Governmental military history. It's slash. There's a slash there. And part of that process was looking back on my own media, right? Looking at the podcasts I've done, looking at the interviews I've done, looking at the art I've put out, looking at the things I've said. And there are lots of things I want to address about the way that my social media experience manifested. But that's not going to happen right now. I started to do that when I did my brief run through of every single post that I posted year by year. You see the picture here? Do you see the retrospective picture here? The picture pieces archive? It's slowly coming together. Do you see it? It's an archive Instagram. And it helped me a lot in my mirror imaging. Because when I started to look at myself, I started to remember certain situations or things. To describe those situations with language that I did not have at the time. Give them new definitions. And when I did that, I saw how manic, dissociated, and temperamental, and even, I would argue, kind of bigoted. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't mean it that way, but it certainly came off that way. Maybe not even bigoted, just like angry, just like so angry and confused, because like confused and then angry and then disruptive. You know, that's the trajectory. It's like, holy fuck, I was dealing with a lot. I didn't even realize. I couldn't even say that for myself. Whoa. And so looking at those pictures was really helpful because, and the videos, because I remember like driving in the street alone. Just like all night just driving, or like going to the same nature area by myself again because my friends didn't want to come with, or that one short film I wanted to make so fucking bad, and all my friends were like, we're gonna do it because we're gonna make a portfolio and we're gonna really work hard, and then them all fucking dipping like, Matthew, I love you, I miss you. So mad at you. I can't even listen to some of the stuff I recorded with some of the people involved. You know, it's like, ooh, that friend. Oh, like I'm supposed to go see Kay being successful, and they even tag me in their successful posts, but they totally abandoned me. What the fuck? That's crazy, you know? Like I got so many things to talk about that I don't really talk about on live, but you know, Instagram was that place where I thought I was saying something. I thought I would share what I was experiencing, but really I was so far removed from the manifestation and the perception were so out of alignment. It was ridiculous. I was so blinded by that. And like on Then, I just keep hearing this one lyric. I put the album together and all I can hear is this one. I've been blinded in both of my eyes by my blue lights. And I swear to God, that is a spell. And I didn't even think magic was real back then. I was like, oh, yeah, I've been haunted before, but I don't really see how it could like exist. It's wonderful. Anyways. And that got me thinking. It got me thinking about how I'm often told something about what I am and what I'm not, how I am and how I'm not. And then there's what I say about it. And then usually this one weighs out. And it's like, no, I'm right. And this one's like, but, all right, then you're right. Okay. I'm just going to go punch myself in the head in my own room for a while. Don't worry about me. I'm just letting you be. And it got me thinking about collecting more pieces and putting them together. Using the tools to my advantage. Using these tools to amplify my process. You know, I'm looking at my memory loss. I'm looking at the way that my CPTSD is affecting me. And I'm realizing that object permanence is something that's challenging for me, but not in certain ways. It's only challenging for me in the way that I can't remember me. I thought that was interesting. So, shocked by that experience and loving it, of seeing myself more clearly in these Instagram posts. I started just kind of collecting information, like I did with my timelines, but this time it's actually like media. I'm like taking down my Snapchats, I'm taking down my Instagram videos, I'm taking down my pictures on Facebook and my videos on Facebook. I'm like going through my phone and organizing everything, and then I'm putting it into these massive multimedia collages that essentially just reflect back to me what's my actual experience. Because there is that big dissonance, which also happens to be the disconnect between body and mind that I witnessed in 2017 when I had told Chester that I was suicidal. And I wouldn't even be able to say I was suicidal for like 5 years after that. Like, I was friends with Amanda already before I recognized that I could say I was suicidal. Because I would tell people, I'm not suicidal. I love life. I love the world. I just want to exit my body. They'd be like, yeah, man. Yeah, no, I understand that. Walk away. Yeah. Oh, I totally hear that. And it's like, guys, it's been 5 years and not a single one of you, family or friend or random person, has said, hey, you do realize that you're saying over and over again that you're suicidal, right? I had to say that in my own silence. I was sitting there one day and I was like, oh shit, what? Are you sure? Like, just literally like looking at it, just baffled, like, how's that possible? And then I went, oh shit, I'm mad at Amanda. I guess I haven't been talking to Amanda because I'm mad at Amanda. And I think I told them about it. I don't remember. But yes, I started collecting all these pieces. And by the way, I'm not mad at Amanda anymore. Webster. I already told them. Like recently, I was just like, hey, I feel X, Y, and Z. And I'm just not sure how this is going to work out if we're not seeing each other that way. You know what I mean? Like, I want the perceptions to align a little bit more. And, I was kind of surprised to hear that they had been through so much. Not that I wasn't, thinking that they live life outside of that conversation, but just like I thought something else was going on, because something else had been going on. But anyways, I digress. And so, let's move from the Instagram to the YouTube. Recently, I was able to begin that collage aesthetic, that collage function on my YouTube, which, everything is organized into 4 categories. There are 2 playlists, which is Loss of Life, or LOL Part 3. There is C in His Own Words, which is a playlist I used to get a better read on my father after he passed. And, well, years after he passed. It was only in the last 6 months I was like, oh, I could put all that together. Oh yeah, that's easy. I could just do that. And it worked out really well. And then there's the filmography and there's the time capsule. I have half a mind to collapse my filmography into the time capsule and just have the time capsule and the playlists. But there's something about wanting to hold the art separate from everything else that's on my mind. So, oh wait, I already found a solution for this. Did I apply it? I think I added the filmographies to the time capsule as well. Because the way I see the filmography playlist is the same way I see the playlist. So, it's a little mentally challenging for me, but I might just add them to the time capsule. And I might also just change the name of it. I think I just don't like the name filmography. So that process, that's what that was. That's what that is. When I put the time capsule together, when I put the playlists up, when I made the filmography collection, that my visual arts collection, or I guess one aspect of my visual arts collection, that's what I was doing. I was turning it into that collage of pieces of my life. It's not all I have. I'm still putting more stuff up, but I wanted to set the groundwork, right? And then, or I wanted to at least complete the foundation. And then we move over to the SoundCloud. The SoundCloud I stripped completely. It's 100% empty, except for the new stuff. The reason for this was that I also realized that my SoundCloud is an archive. It's not specifically dated like everything else, but I have a lot of resources or tools to figure out where they go in time. And so that's what I'm doing over there. That's what the retrospective is. So I'm re-releasing all of my music from the 10-year musical career that I had on SoundCloud as these retrospectives. I will be doing retrospectives for every EP that I've ever released. But I'll also be doing the chronological retrospective, which is the difference between the Picture Pieces Volume 1 and the 3 retrospectives that came before that, 2010, 11, and 12, and the then retrospective, which is why this is also a good time for us to have this conversation, because you can see both sides of the coin right there in front of you. So yeah, I will be releasing two different things. I will be re-releasing a total retrospective. On one side of that retrospective coin is the chronological retrospective, where I will be releasing collages of music in chronological order by the year, and starting in 2010, which is a long time. And then the individual project re-releases, or even reimaginings in some cases, like Then. Then was originally a 30-ish minute EP. It's now 54 minutes and has added content in it. Songs that didn't make it on that album or weren't a part of that era that can now bleed into that era, because I'm going top down from up here in the present moment down into the actual pieces. So that's what the SoundCloud looks like. And then after that's completed, there will be a second phase, which will be a live archive, which at some point I'll be initiating, and it'll be sooner than later. Because actually, I take it back. I'm not waiting until everything's done for the retrospective. I'm getting to a point where I feel like it's time to move into the more modern stuff. And this stuff includes the stuff you'd see on the meditations, the cooldowns. Because at the end of every cooldown, I do an improvisation. So I'll be releasing those in real time as well, building up new stuff. So on one side of that coin of new stuff will be new creative material that I've been working on or stuff that I haven't started working on yet. And then there's the live archive, not the Picture Pieces archive retrospective, but the Picture Pieces live archive. And that, my friends, is what the Picture Pieces archive is. Okay? So This is the Void is the platform. The Picture Pieces archive is the SoundCloud retrospectives, but also includes the time capsule on YouTube, and with that, all of the visual art. So all of this stuff, it goes together. They exist in different dimensions, but if you layer them over each other, they show you one big picture. Essentially, you guys will have a door into my personal stream of consciousness for 14 years, going into the future even. And that's infinite. Who knows how long that will be or how intense. Because I'm going to make some fun stuff. I know, that's what I'm saying. I see you, 52 Brew. You say, we need a key to this map. Well, I'm telling you there's a map, and I'm telling you there are keys to it, and then this will be available for you to scrub through, and then when we get through this, I'll be able to actually think about making introductory audios and videos for the actual platforms themselves. So I can have things tagged here so people can go look at them, and I can have them tagged on SoundCloud when people go to SoundCloud, and I can have them tagged on YouTube when people go to YouTube. And it will be awesome. And you know what's great about those platforms is that some of them have a feature like YouTube where you have first-time visitors and you have regulars, subscribers. And you can basically, you know, if you were brand new to the YouTube channel, you'd come to the YouTube channel and you'd see that introductory video. And then the next time you come, it will be whatever the, like right now it's Papaya. You would just go straight to Papaya when you load up the channel. So, okay, we're going to need a light here in a second. So I'm just going to turn it on now. Oh, it is on. Okay. And so, yes, this is the void. Oh, you can kind of see the computer screen now. Maybe you could see it before. I didn't see it. But this is the void as a platform built on my predecessor. Because I'm also not the Jaime that you think I am. I died many times. Okay? And that's not a joke. I'm not crazy. It's called self-individuation. I have become a master of my own death, which is why I'm here after a meltdown. We're not the same person. We do not move the same. We do not think the same. We are not made up of the same things. I may look similar, but I guarantee, I promise, that the way I look and interact now is an evolution triggered by those deaths. My physical body has been changed by the change in my person. There are a lot of us in here. Lots of really cool versions of us, like the one from 2010, the one from 2011, the one from 2012, and the one from 2020, who made a reappearance just now in 2024 with the reimagining of the album. So, I just need that to be known. Not the same person. Similar trappings, different conscious. And yet the same, also. Very much of what I used to be is still in me. But the same can be said in the opposite. Much of it is not here. And this is the void is, it's going to need a couple of phases to get fully online, because I can't help anybody until I help myself. I can't hold space for anything or anybody unless I can hold space for me. And so we've kind of been going through this process where I've been converting the body of my predecessor transmuting it into its new form. And this new form looks a lot like the old one, but is a very different thing than it was, for a number of reasons. Transparency, awareness of the world around me and how I would like to be in it. Wanting to support artists is the same, but the way I would support them is different. And than I would have. And yeah. And that's the initiation period, which actually ended yesterday with the release of them. And this initiation began in March. I think actually it was on 3/20. That's when the initiation started, because that's when I started posting about my experience with my father again. And that's when I started talking in general. And it built in steadily increasing degrees, intensities, and I went live in October, November, and I took a break, and now I'm here again. Because part of that initiation phase was to observe the social interaction. It was to understand what it is that I am experiencing when I have this going on. Because if some of you may have forgotten, last year was insane. That was insane. Like, I have people coming over here like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about the grade A's thing. That's wild. I can't believe you talked to you like that. And it's like, I can. That's why I went public when Ryan started threatening me. That's why I got my partner involved. Because, yeah, they talk like this. They act like this. The way that Sean talked to me in March of last year is the same way he talked to me through the official grade A's handle and through the fucking personal handle. Okay? Sandra, Sandra D, yeah, 50. I have a question. Do I talk to Mike Shinoda? I'm going to talk about Mike here in a second, because I caught him sneaking again, and I have something to say. But that's later. But yes, the way that Sean Dell talked to me online is the way that he spoke to me over the phone when he tried to gaslight me into a fist fight. The same behavior, if not more. Okay? Like, I experience harder intensities of that in the background. Oh yeah, I see some comments about his story. Let's be kind and appreciate each other. I'm only a saint when you do exactly what I say, how I want you to say it and do it, and if you don't, I'm gonna lose it. Yeah. Stand strong, Zen. I'm gonna call you Zen now, and it's gonna be funny. I'm gonna be like, what's up, Z? They're gonna be like, who's Z? Oh, it's Zen. Why do you call him that? Because he's the opposite. But yes, that kind of behavior is normal. So, and then people like last year, like when it got really crazy, they're like, why do you think you should be bossing up on these guys? Bro, because that's the only way. What do you mean? What do you mean? They're over there literally, no. What do you mean? Like when if somebody pissed on your leg, like literally walked up to you, said, I don't give a fuck about what you think, I don't give a fuck about who you are, unzips their pants and pees on you, what would you do? Would you just go, oh no, the irony? I would. That would be funny as fuck. But I also look at him and be like, who the fuck do you think? No, bro, you clearly are confused. Hold on, we're on different sides of the world right now. let me take flight. And, you know, it's just what it is. You know, I'm not bossing up. I'm just communicating. You guys think it's really extreme because it is. Y'all are like, is this really necessary? The answer is yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is necessary for me to live stream when I'm being threatened and abused by two grown men who are supposed to be my role models online in front of everybody. Which actually I can't say that about Ryan because he didn't. He did that entirely between us. I was the one who made that public, but I take accountability. I know what I did. And yeah. But anyways, back to the platform. We were talking about, oh yeah, I had taken time to consider the interactions, to consider what this is and how it works and how to move forward through it. And now I'm back, and then there was that period of like, I think it was like the last 30 days or so, where I've been back, and I tested new things out, didn't I? I tested new things out. I took what worked, and I used it, and then I pushed a fucking line with it. You know? And that's what I was saying earlier about I don't remember what I was going to say. Never mind. But yeah, and I pushed a line with it. And then I put out some of my art, reorganized my social media platforms so that This Is the Void could actually be what it is, or at least begin to be what it is, have an understanding of what it wants to be. And now we're here on the first day of phase 1. We haven't started yet. And that's something I was saying last year too. You know, I said, hey, we're not there yet. Like, everybody thinks that this is what this was. You guys think I'm just coming out here and just firing off about some stuff? No. The only reason I had to fire off is because I was being attacked. It's because there was someone attempting to hack my account every single time I posted anything. And I already have contingency for that shit. Because there's a lot of stuff people don't know about my history. And like, the government's involved. The music industry's involved. It's wild over here. When someone starts hacking your account for telling the truth, you got to tell everybody, I'm not suicidal, hence the bios. You got to give them context, hence all of the spilling the tea. It wasn't spilling the tea, it was an insurance policy. I wasn't spilling tea. I was just talking. Because guess what? What happened the other day happened like a lot, all the time, to everybody. It's not even me. It's just a thing that happens. I mean, we're talking about politics and we're talking about the music industry, some of the biggest egos ever to exist. And also, I would say that politics includes some of the greatest mathematical scientific minds as well. Because socializing is a feat of engineering, period. Like, they did a real good job making it look like something else, but those mathematicians out there building our social construct, they know what they're doing. And no, I'm not going anywhere. And I wish I didn't have to do what I did. I really didn't want to do it that way. I spent years strategizing coming back just to have to immediately defend myself in a way that caused confusion and illustrated a certain type of energy or picture. And as you can see with Sean Dowdell and Ryan Shuck, that turned into a narrative which is being used to try to stop some things from growing. And it might, but I'm too cute for that shit. So phase 1 is about, and actually I should even step back. This is the Void is not only a platform, a social platform, a media platform. It's also a manifestation of the practice. Because in my system, I feel that my knowledge should always be represented in my behavior, my speech, and my environment. So I am taking the fabric of my reality and making it into something for me. And the way that I can do that usually is by emulating my practice in other dimensions. Creating greater and greater cognitive scaffolding so that I can go to greater and greater heights of accountability and creation, communication, and being. This is the Void is not just a platform, it's also it's not just an insurance policy, it's also an accountability policy. I hope that none of you let me behave in a way that I do not agree to behave. I hope none of you let me slide just because I'm Chester's kid, just because there's some kind of rose tint, just because there's something going on and it's not honest. I would expect all of you to hold me as accountable as you possibly can. And that's why I interact in the comments the way I do. It's because, and you'll see this if you look at any of the comments on any of my things, I'm always like, don't lie, don't attack, don't be disrespectful. Even if truths are hard, hold them. Please. Let's interlink and let's support, right? So with that being said, phase 1 is the manifestation of the first half of my internalized desire or heart spell, so to speak. Sankalpa, I believe, is another word for it. And I've also shared this with you before, but it was in the midst of the craziness. So here we are. My desire, all-time desire, and this is why I release my art the way I do, the way I interact the way I do with the public, this is everything. I desire to first develop within myself the sense for, the capacity to to initiate and sustain the space necessary for authentic self-realization. And then to, having developed that sense, actualize that space. Actualize that capacity, to initiate and sustain the space that is healthy for me. That's phase 1. The second phase is the part of my desire which states that having developed a sense for and cultivated within the capacity for the ability to initiate and sustain the space necessary for my own self-realization, to use that process of self-actualization to do the same for you, for all of you, everyone, all my mirrors out there. And that's second phase, which is why we're talking about supporting artists now, after the initiation, at the beginning of phase 1, before phase 2, where that community element will be not only seated, but manifested. This process right now that I'm going through is getting all of my music up, putting all of my time capsule together, creating consistency in the community events, and in doing so, developing the capacity to effectively hold the space that is needed to be held for you all to communicate and express freely. Part of what I wanted to do to make this work, which is why I've considered Discord and I've considered many things. I think Discord's actually a really good idea. I wanted 2 digital areas, one where the family can reside and one where the public can reside. And given certain interactions, these two can interconnect. However, I think it's really important to keep them separate because I think that it's a coin. I think it's a coin. And I think on one side, there's the piece of the story that the other side is not able to perceive of. And I thought it would be really cool to do that. I also want to hold interviews. If any of you know Chester, if any of you, knew Chester, will you come forward and talk to me about it? I want to do, it's kind of a joke, but I want to do some kind of underground interviews where I can either display the individual who's talking about it, or I can be discreet about it. And I want to turn it into a part of the SoundCloud or a part of a podcast. I don't really like the word podcast for that, but it is what it is. It would basically be that. And I would basically interview these people from all aspects of Chester's life neutrally. And I would ask them questions about what their relationship was, what the environment was like, and that's it. So I'm now publicly unveiling that. If you guys know anybody, and I'll be saying all of these things too, like in the stories, and I'll give proper updates on them. This is just a sit-in. This is just a total update, the whole process of it. But yes, I am looking to understand myself through images of my father, and I am looking to understand myself through images of the environment that I was raised in, that I grew up in, that I was birthed in, and the one that he was raised in, grew up in, birthed in, and that includes his career. So if anybody here wants to talk to me, I am discreet. I will also share your name if you would be willing to go out publicly and stand with me in just learning more about reality. Okay. Right. Phase 1 is literally just me actualizing what I need to hold myself. And through that, developing the connections that will be necessary to eventually hold all of you up. And, that will basically be a process of, again, adding to the time capsule, putting all the music out, doing the interviews, and the interviews will straddle both phases. And then the second phase will be about diversifying, reorganizing, or retooling, and expanding upon the community events and spaces that are created in the meantime. Once this occurs, those 2 digital spaces that I was talking about will be set up. And it'll probably happen a lot sooner than that. Like, I might even in like 3 hours just decide a Discord is a good idea and then just create a bunch of things to let you guys know what it is and add that to my bio. You know, like, it's just that easy. Some things sound really big in theory, and then you go to sit down to do them, and they're like this big. You thought they were this big, but they're this big. But yeah, so This is the Void is a platform which is used to support me in my process of healing and empowerment. It serves as an archive of my humanly existence, and therefore serves as a mirror in which I can reflect when I'm needing to. All be conveniently in one place. these tools that This Is the Void is comprised of are tools that I am only using to amplify my journey, my process, and so to help me navigate my journey to greater self-awareness, which means greater interconnection as much as it does greater self-imposed isolation. It's a balance. And man, the words are really getting stuck on this one. Oh, and ultimately, I wish for it to serve as that space for all of you who would like to do this as well. Artists who have art, artists who want to make albums in the style of the retrospective. You know, I want to do cool things, like I want to put together the sound effects I make for my music and release them as like a public library of sounds, so that people can, with like a key to like all of the meanings for the sounds if they were used for transitions and things like that, or you know, if there's certain context that's required, and allowing people to use that art to make their own art. I don't even care if people remix my art now. You guys could go listen to the 2012 retrospective and then, you know, hear all the music on it and then accidentally write a song that's the same thing. I'm not going to come after you. I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. I thought, wow, that influenced you. That gave you something. So please take it with you. Show me what you felt. Go ahead. Which is part of the, I wonder what people are thinking of when I'm looking at their stats, when I'm looking at the projects, when I'm looking at who looked at what and why. So I have a lot of cool little ideas for that. I don't know how big they'll be, but I'm looking to become more and more socially integrated for the purpose of upholding our greatest goods, our best interests, and as a society, as individuals. And I think that will happen sooner than later, to be honest. So This Is the Void. This Is the Void is that platform. It is that for me right now, but it will eventually be open source to you. And I appreciate all of you being present for that journey. That struggle for self. What's next? I guess I could explain the Picture Pieces archive bit a little bit more. The Picture Pieces archive is a label that I'll use for anything that's retrospective. Past a certain point, a thing is not in hindsight. It is in the present. And so I'm trying to achieve a seamless live archive to retrospective archive cycle. So ideally, every year what I would do is I would take all of the media that was released in the live archive, all the stuff in these reels and these live streams, all the stuff on YouTube, and just make sure it's in its right place, cycle it out, so to speak. I don't think the way that it's set up now will be the way it's set up forever. I think that it will be a work in progress, something that will only show itself as it unfolds, or as it folds. It's not really unfolding, it's more like crystallizing, but yeah. The thought is the unfolding. That being is the crystallization, which is the folding. There you go. Okay. I'm going to look through the comments real quick. I'm going to check my notes. I think I hit all the points but the Community 3 update, so I'm just going to Oh, I kind of talked about it, but I guess I should address it straight. We need to talk about the rules of engagement again. Because, thanks Band Lab. Because I am going to answer those questions. I hear you, Sandra D. We have to talk about rules of engagement first, because then we get to talk about Mike Shinoda. So, we need to talk about the rules of engagement again. I want to state for the record, I do not support hate of any kind. I do not support weaponized ignorance of any kind or incompetence. We need to be totally accountable for our actions. That means that we also need to be in alignment with our greater, higher good. So, before you interact with people in the comments, before you fire off, or, some people come in and they see things they don't like. And then they're like, you're insane and you should shut up. And they're mean about it. And then you have people, I saw Sam's in here, where they come in all fucking fiery, like, fuck you, bro. Who the fuck you think you... I'm like, oh, I love that energy for sure. For sure. I appreciate that. Like, I'm not going to tell you to stop. Really? What I'm going to tell you is, hey, just so you know, over here, people do that, and we don't reward that behavior. But yeah, I want to remind everybody that the two things that we as a community do here, and this is a community now, it's been one for a little bit. We align with our higher good, meaning that mentally and physically, in terms of behavior, speech and behavior, they align. And we treat each other with respect, and we don't get absurd with it. There are going to be antagonists. There are going to be people who show up and say crazy shit. I'm about to say something that's kind of crazy, and I'm sorry that I do, but it is something I have to talk about. But that's for later. And then there are people who come in with good intentions who, in any other situation, like, totally, that's fucking awesome. But as a moderator, I do have to say, hey guys, let's tone it down. But yeah, I want to bring it up because it's not that I think people aren't interacting well. I actually think people are interacting really well. And I'm very proud of all of you for being there for each other and upholding each other. I gotta say it, And in addition to all of that, not only are we aligning ourselves with our higher good in speech and behavior, but we're also resisting energies that are contrasting to the ones that we want to bring to the table. I got a comment from G about this. They're like, how do you do that? Like, how are you going to tell them to not do it, but you're over here like, eat my ass and fuck you? And, and the answer is that I have a reason to be mad. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not. No. I'm not being disrespectful. I can see why it might feel that way sometimes, but I'm not being disrespectful. There's a difference between pulling up on someone because you know they fucking did something and you're going to call them out for that. And there's something different when you just call someone out with no reason. And you're like, that's slander, And you're like, well, yeah, I just don't like this person. So fuck. I don't just not like these people. I didn't make Sean Dell gaslight me into a fistfight. I didn't make him refuse to look at my eyes for a year, as I called him a X, Y, and Z on live. No. I didn't ask for that. What I asked for was for him to listen, communicate, support, because that's what he said he would. That's what he always says he is. So I see it as something different. Now, if you all see it as something that's not that, then please tell me, because I am open and receptive to communication. Somebody literally came up to me the other day, and this kind of ties back to you, Sandra D. I'm getting there. And they said, hey, I think you might be trying to put blame on people. I just, as somebody who respects your dad, who respects you, I need to tell you, I think you need help with your mental health. And I think that you are looking for people. Well, at first they came and they said that. They said that specifically. They were like, I think you need help with your mental health. They said, I'm not even digging at you. I just, I also need help with it. But, I just see this and But then they went on to call themselves ignorant. And they went on to be a little bit harsher on themselves than they needed to be. And I just reminded them, no, you're not ignorant. You have a perspective that is entirely unique and valuable. And I appreciate you coming forward and saying to me, hey, I think that you need help because based on what I'm seeing this. And when I asked them, I said, I'm curious to know more about that perspective. They told me, they said, well, it seems like you're just trying to put blame on people, trying to, put your pain on something. And from what we've all seen as LP fans, Mike Shinoda, Chester, Joe, all the guys in the band, Brad, they're all brothers. They all get along. And I said, you know what? You're totally right. I'm apologizing right now for the way I come off because maybe I do come off a way. Maybe there is a certain element of my demeanor that is initially shocking to such a degree that you'd think I was saying that. Absolutely. But what I'm saying actually is that I'm specifically talking about the things that are affecting me, the bad things. I'm not talking about the good things. We're talking about the bad things because that's why we're here right now. We have a deficit to reverse. We have things to do, like put our collages together and hang out with the community. Okay? And that's where you get the positive interactions. You don't get the Banksy style fuck yous. You get, hey, we're hanging out. We're doing some meditation. Oh, you were sad today? Why's that? Let's talk about that. Oh, hey, here's G. They brought face masks. That's what we're doing. Okay? And that's what you all could be doing every Tuesday and Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'm getting there, Sandra D. I'm circling the fuck around. I'm spiraling again. I really appreciated that interaction, okay? That person who hit me up. I did. 100%. At first I was going to say something like, I don't think you hear what I'm saying. And then I was like, you know what? This is someone genuinely, they're coming to me to genuinely tell me hey, I saw something. That's what I asked for. I'm not insane. I'm not unreasonable. I'm not unmanageable. Somebody I don't know came to me, told me that I looked insane, and I asked them why, genuinely. And then I thanked them for it, and I took it to heart, and I actually ingested that shit. Because guess what? You're not my enemy. We're not fighting. Just because you come up and you got an opinion on something does not mean that I'm going to chew you out, because that's not the point. I only chew people out who deserve it. And some of those chewings are light, little, they're not even bites. They're like, I'm not even biting. They're like, oh my God, you have no life achievements. That shit's funny though. I think it's really funny that the first thing he went for was my life achievement. Yeah, he knows so much about my life, guys, because he's here for it. But yeah, it's important to bring up the community guidelines, because I think that there is some confusion in the way that I hold myself and the way that I'm received by people who don't understand where I'm coming from. And that's totally reasonable. That is ridiculous. So, please, if any of you find me unhinged, tell me. And some of you have, and I've combated you because I thought the way that you were speaking was interesting, and I had something to say about that. But genuinely, all of the interactions that I get, I 100% appreciate them. I think some people come into the DMs even expecting that I might be a little on fire. Like, hey man, I don't mean to like piss you off, but I'm not mad though. I'm not mad. I'm not insane. I'm not over here getting pissed off about everything. I'm just alive and cognizant of my environment. That's it. This is a place for me to be able to speak freely about how I feel. I'm a public figure. My family, they's public figures. You guys literally know Chester's face by memory. Okay? And I know I didn't say Che because it's not Che. That's Chester. Che is dead Chester. So please, tell me if something happens and you genuinely are like, what was that? Ask me. Talk to me. It's okay. I don't bite. I scratch. Sometimes. Offer knockout punches other times. But, you know, that's all mental. Look at me. I ain't gonna do shit to you. So yeah, I appreciate those interactions. Come to me. Let's strive to align our language and our behavior no matter what the antagonists do. Don't buy into it. They literally, I'm not even going to get you with the same old line where I go, they're just trying to get your attention. No, they aren't. They don't even care about that. They don't even care about... If I responded, do you think any of those people would be like, oh, I changed my mind. Yeah, you know, I was wrong. No. You think they go, oh yeah, I was just really curious what you were thinking. No. They don't do that. That's not what the point of the comment is. The point of the comment is to come in, say some shit, see what the very first reaction is. Somebody comes in and says to me, the second Chester dies, you're no good. You're his oldest son. You should have been there for him. You fucking killed him. You should go kill yourself. Okay? For sure. That's something to have a comment about. And in the past, I would definitely have just fired off on that because I was, you know, grieving and already stressed the fuck out from before that. And, you know, I had to learn to deal with that. But now that I've learned to deal with that, I have to also keep other people from making the same mistake. I can't stop you, but I could say, hey, let's remember who we are and who we're not. And let's remember that the people who give us bad negative energy are usually like just the randos and the comments and stuff. They're usually people who don't give a fuck about your thoughts. They don't give a fuck about my thoughts. And they certainly aren't going to apologize or meet you in the middle anywhere. They just want to actually sink their teeth in. And for some of you asking, when did that happen? Who said that? This is one of the events was that one that I posted about bullying when Sean went off on me and I said I have no life achievements and I said I have an essence that is ever present. Yeah, I sent that shit and I sent the receipts. Yeah, that's what that was. That was me talking and responding to those people, which prepared me for that interaction with Sean a couple days ago. So don't buy it. Don't listen to the music. Don't buy it. Don't do it. If you don't want to be tricked. If you want to be tricked, go ahead. If you want to believe that Sean Dowdell hasn't done that to dozens and dozens of people, go ahead. Watch the show. The show he's putting on with a impersonator of my father who had a career as an impersonator of my father before Grade A's hired them. And go ahead and also forget that he said he was thinking about making new music with the guy who sounds like my dad. And also forget that Sean Dowdell has been dropping little nuggets of lore like I have for a couple of years now, and that it usually coincides with a record release or a concert. You can all do that. That is your prerogative. But I'll tell you what, and we're coming up to update number 3 and responding to Sandra D. I'm not the only one. And I am very sorry to all those this has happened to, that he just straight away just deleted the comment. Which, by the way, and I'll expose a little bit right now, right here. Shoutout deletes comments. He deletes interactions. He also likes to go to people's DMs and do what he did to me, to other people who don't have a platform to say anything, who don't have a way to be heard. And that's not slander, and that's not an accusation. It's not alleged, it's a fact. I have literally seen him do this before. So, anyway, that's as teeth-bearing as I'm going to get right now, as scary and unhinged as I'm going to get right now, is that Sean Dell did all those things, and he also deletes his interactions with people so that he can gaslight everyone into thinking that he doesn't actually talk shit to people, or that the person he's talking shit to deserves it. What's that line? I'm thinking it. You guys know it's Euphoria. I think that first line kind of reminds me of Sean. But I won't even. Random acts of kindness. I'll spare you that line. Okay, anyways. It's amazing how fast the trolls will just get wild when other trolls show up, you know? Was that everybody wants to be a demon till they get chipped by your throwaway? I literally said, oh my God, I can't believe my eyes. Can you all stop doing this? And gave a list of product that has been made in my Father's image. And he said that to me. You want to be a demon until you get chipped, homie. And then you want to go blow up on everybody thinking that I won't fucking tell. But I already told you. I already played this game with you last year. We ain't not the same person. You can go ahead and say as much as you want about how you know, but you don't know. Sucker. Anyways. Okay, I'm done clowning. This brings me to Sandra D. Yeah, and also about the Linkin Park releases, y'all need to go back and look at Mike Shinoda's timeline. Period. That's the whole sentence. That's the whole thought. Because I'll tell you something. Mike Shinoda is also someone who drops a lot of lore. But he drops it in these really discreet ways. And I'm going to get to Mike. Since we're talking about Mike, we're going to go back to Mike. I am so over these featurettes where I'm unboxing the Paper Cuts edition. Wow. A real top critic investment here. Yeah. Try not to look so surprised like you've never seen vinyl before. It kind of seems like you're playing it up a little bit, but I don't know who put... I don't know. Shout out to Brad. I don't know who put Brad on the camera, but he looked crazy in there. But also like the Zane Lowe interview, the Howard Stern interview. I saw another interview of Mike talking about Chester's mental health and how much he knew about it when he was releasing Post-Traumatic, just to see him talk about it like he didn't know what happened. You guys need to go back because some of these people have amnesia, but let it get shaky. I'm sure you all could find something. They're not exactly discreet. They will literally just delete it. If there are holes in your memory and you're not really sure where something went, maybe go ask yourself why you don't remember where it went. And then go look for it where you thought it was and tell me if it's still there. It's just an investigation technique. Nothing wrong with it. Because as we talk about Mike and the songs, we're also circling back to rules and regulations. No harassing these people. No. Please stop. I'm not saying anybody did it. But that's a scolding for those of you who have and haven't told me and haven't been caught. No, thank you. This is a place for me and the people I'm talking to have the conversation. I generated a dimension in space-time for that particular interaction. Please allow people to interact the way they want to. Now, I'm not saying you can't go to the show promotions for grade A's and say you dislike it. You can say how you feel about things, but it's how you feel, okay? I appreciate the energy. Just remember that I do not support hate. I do not support lies. I do not support confusion. I do not support harassment. I am not harassing. Why do you think I was blocked by Sean Dowdell, Grey Days, the entire band? I guess we all know who runs that one. And Ryan Shuck. You literally, what? Anyways. That's why I got blocked, okay? Another attempt to punch a hole in a picture and walk away. Okay. And that leads me back to the songs. So, I wasn't super stoked about the box sets. I didn't really get to talk about that. Maybe I will in a separate thing, but not this one. I'm just going to say I disagree with it. I don't appreciate it. I do understand it. I don't like the way they did it, and I don't like that they put out new music. Demos is different. And I guess in a way, even though Mike got to do it first, I was already doing it in my self-imposed isolation. Those collages, those timelines he's putting out, they're challenging. First of all, it was weird to see Linkin Park use AI-generated art on the music video for one of those releases, and it be one of the only times they did it. That was really weird. What was really weird, too, was working with Grey Days, knowing that they were manipulating Chester's voice to a certain extent through Amends in the Phoenix, and then seeing Mike and Brad talk about how they did a magic trick on Chester's voice and how these new songs came out. And, that song was almost on the album, but, it just didn't make it. And I just happened to be going through this little thing, not for Jeff Blue's retrospective that's coming out, right? He didn't go into the vault specifically when Jeff went into the vault, did he? Well, we don't know. I guess those are questions to ask when the time comes. But, everybody's digging in their vault because they got something to do with Chester. And it's just it's weird to me, you used AI art, and I'm not saying you used AI voice manipulation, but Drake did. And he is a major artist in the industry. I'm saying that they said they did a magic trick, and I know we didn't see the workflow for it, but it's something to think about how much of that was actually Chester, because when you listen to Friendly Fire, the featurette, they literally say there were pieces of the song that were missing, and yet Chester's voice is on the entire thing. So, my question really comes down to factors. How much of this music was almost done in the mix, but really not even there to begin with, stumbled upon, and then re-released? Because that kind of sounds to me like fishing, and it kind of also sounds to me like manipulation, and it kind of sounds to me like unfair. I don't know the situation like that, so it's weird. I enjoy the songs, but I don't enjoy hearing Chester talk about the same fucking shit that he was talking about for so long. So long. Everybody's like, he was the best he's ever been in his entire life. And then they're like, yeah, man, he's just super depressed all the time. We literally couldn't get him to shut up about it. Again, how does nobody acknowledge that Chester recorded the verse for Cross Off in 2017, only within a month and a half, 2 months of me telling him that I was suicidal? And then it's released in 2019, and everybody just closes their eyes and goes, well, it came out in 2019, so he couldn't have possibly been saying it then. Yeah, but no, I am saying he's saying that then because he said it right then and there. He actually posted about it on his Twitter in April, if you go back and look. And they're like, yeah, but that's just Mark Morton's verse. You know, that's his album, so that's his thing. And it's like, no, Chester never did a single thing that he did not agree to do, because guess what? It's his voice. It's his face. I heard him say that he walked off the stage. Well, he was playing with Maynard because he wouldn't play a song. That's one of the reasons I tried to reach out to Maynard. I'm actually really close regionally, and I haven't received a response, but I also gave it to his management. I think that was a bad choice. The restaurant management or the Merkins management. But anyways, you know, I have a hard time explaining what I feel is common sense sometimes. And I don't mean to be critical or rude in saying that, but like, put the pieces together. They're a picture. It's a puzzle you're looking at. It's a picture. It's just out of order. So put it in order, you know? But yeah, that's strange to me. Here, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get. Will you hear me talking to you? I don't know what happens when I go off screen for a second. For those of you who may not have seen that, I don't know how it affected you. G texted me, and I was just texting back. They might be back in time for the update 3, which I hope they will be. It'd be cool for them to be here. But it's not necessary. It's okay. We were talking about the songs. Oh yeah, so I encourage people to look critically at these songs. I don't want you to look at it with this rose-tinted glass. It's not pink. The hair is pink, but he's not. And I need you to know that. I need you to see it. I need you to try. I need you to consciously open your mind to potentials. That's it. I need you to look at what's in the eye and thematically juxtapose meaning between those songs on that album and the songs on every other album he ever wrote. I need you guys to see every time he says blackout. I need you guys to see every time he talks about the ocean. I need you to look every time. Like when he says, when they come for me, I'll be gone. In fact, I'm going to end this conversation on a serious note before we move on to answering Sandra D in specific. I know I'm not stringing you along. This is the string of thought. I'm sorry. I'm going to read a Linkin Park lyric to you. How about that? That's so annoying. I'm not even going to respond to that. I'm not responding to that. In fact. Okay. I'm going to read that lyric to you. Let me go grab it real quick. I can't look on my phone. Hold on. Oh, I guess my computer's almost dead, but I don't really need it for that. I want you guys to close your eyes, and I want you to breathe like 5 times. Ground yourself, because I'm going to open your mind and I want you to listen. It's really important that you listen. Breathe. Where did it go? Did it die? Did you just die on me? Like, just like that? Or did I turn the brightness all the way down? 1 second. Apparently, I freaked this guy out. I really didn't want to see those texts. They were not necessary. That's all I'm going to say. Because I just have to say something because I'm like fucking shocked right now. Yes. And I'm also gonna scratch Mike a little bit here because I think he said something that was really dumb and I didn't appreciate it. There was a comment about this is the way I feel. It's not objectively dumb. I just think it's dumb. He had said something like, it was about concept albums in particular, because 1,000 Suns was like the only quote concept album that they did, but also like what is an album if not a concept album? It's literally a collection of music about a concept, but I know, right? Who could ever fucking conceptualize that? And he has a way of saying things that just throws me off, which is why I'm not ready to talk to him yet, because he sounds so just ignorant and arrogant. Like when he tells Chester in the Genius interviews, when Chester's talking about the nature of self and how he's dealing with his inner demons in a metaphysical way, he literally just shoves Chester off like, oh wow, so esoteric. Like, what the fuck? You don't think about yourself? Why are you being a dick right now? You literally know he's in a depressive state. Oh wait, in 3 months you're going to act like you didn't know that you said that. You didn't know that Chester was the one to have these real conversations every single time they held a writing session for One More Light, which is an album he has almost 0 writing credits on, including the song that everybody says he wrote, One More Light. Chester didn't write that, but okay. Anyways. He had said something about the concept of like a dude riding his bike. He was like, yeah, I just don't know how many times I can write an album about a guy riding a bike or something like that. Like, it's boring at some point. And I just thought in my mind, like, what bike are you riding? Who are you riding it with? Where are you riding this? What time of year is it? What mood are you in? I'm so curious right now. Riding a bike is super exciting. If you can't get your mind behind that, that just kind of sounds like you're throwing out a reason to hate something. Like, nobody said you had to write an album about a dude riding a bike. Ironically, they wrote a concept of an album about fuck the authority. It's called 1,000 Suns. It's called, actually, sorry, not even that. It's called 1,000 Suns, Living Things, Hunting Party. They wrote 3 back-to-back albums about go fuck yourself to the industry. But Mike also says silly things like, I'm not even like a rapper though. Like, I don't even know what those other rappers do. You did not just try to hide behind the rap rock genre, did you? You did not just act like you ain't saying you the biggest, the baddest. Shut up. That's how I feel when I hear stuff like that. Like, you literally have an album called The Rising Tide about how you are the motherfucking guy. How you are the motherfucker. You're the rapper of all time. And then in the same breath, you literally... Guys, if you want to understand why I don't like post-traumatic, go listen to Rising Tide. He literally tells you that he uses genre as a way to create superficial, artificial connections to people and things. He literally says that he wears it like a outfit. And guess what? Jay-Z also backed that album. It was right around the time of Collision Course, ironically. But yeah, sorry. Hold on. I'm just talking out my ass. Let me pull up these lyrics. Perfect. When They Come For Me. 70,000 views on the lyrics alone. You guys got this. Close your eyes. Take your breaths. We're going. I'm gonna do a light mic, okay? It's not an imitation. It's just the words have a natural rhythm to them. And I'm going to stop to add information. So I'm telling you the lyric, which you've all likely heard, and I'm going to also offer my 2 cents on the thing that I'm observing. Mike Shinoda says, yeah, I am not a pattern to be followed. The pill that I'm on is a tough one to swallow. I'm not a criminal, not a role model, not a born leader, I'm a tough act to follow. I am not the fortune and the fame, nor the same person telling you to forfeit the game. I came in the ring like a dog on a chain and found out that the underbelly's sicker than it seems. And it seems ugly, but it can get worse, because even a blueprint is a gift and a curse. Because once you got a theory of how the thing works, everybody wants the next thing to be just like the first. And I am not a robot. I am not a monkey. I will not dance even if the beat is funky. Opposite of lazy, far from a punk. Y'all ought to stop talking. Start trying to catch up, motherfucker. Verse 2. Don't worry about Chester's parts. It's the same thing throughout the entire song. Lauren said, money changes situation. Big said, it increased the complication. Kane said, don't step, I ain't the one. Chuck said, that Uzi weigh a motherfucking ton. And I'm just a student of the game that they taught me. Rocking every stage and every place that it brought me. I'm awfully underrated, but came here to correct it. And so it ain't mistaken, I'ma say it for the record. I am the opposite of whack, opposite of weak, opposite of slack, synonym of heat, synonym of crack, closest to a peak, far from a punk. Y'all ought to stop talking, start trying to catch up, motherfucker. And what does Chester say, guys? Oh, when they come for me, I'll be gone. And all the people say, let's look at another lyric real quick, because this is fun. Ooh, perfect. What about off the same album? What if we listen to Wretches and Kings? You guys want to listen to Wretches and Kings? There is a time. Hold on. Wow. Genius is really freaking out right now. That's where I'm at. I'm on Genius, looking at lyrics. There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your body upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. I mean, you're preaching to the choir, man. I hear you. It's almost like I did exactly what they all did in their albums, but I still got chewed out for it. Double standard? Power imbalance? Whitewashing? To save face, how low can you go? Talk a lot of game, but yet you don't know. Static on the way, make us all say, whoa. The people up top push your people down low. Get down and obey every word. Steady getting mine if you hadn't yet heard. Want to take what I got? Don't be absurd, but it's stupid when I say it, right? Don't fight the power. Nobody gets hurt. If you haven't heard yet, then I'm letting you know. There ain't shit we don't run when the guns unload. And no one makes a move unless my people say so. Got everything out of control. Now everybody go. And what's Chester say? Steal unload. Final blow. We, the animals, take control. Hear us now, clear and true. Wretches and kings, we come for you. I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. And the computer died. So we're going to stop there. But I'll tell you what I thought about that first song in specific. Who's coming for you? And when they get you, why would they get you? And why do you need to be gone when they get you? Is it because you're talking shit or is it something else? I think Linkin Park and Mike Shinoda would have you believe that these are just songs. It's just music. But we all know that's not true. Go back and watch LPTV. It's all on YouTube. Have fun. Good hunting. And you'll see that Mike Shinoda definitely doesn't talk about it like that. Yeah, it's very interesting. I watched LPTV. A lot of it, actually, when I was trying to see Chester again. And it was not as enjoyable as I thought it was. It seemed kind of like a bunch of grown children not communicating and making subpar art. I don't like One More Light. I think it's a bad album. But in particular, never mind Chester's verse, but who was led into the ring like a dog on a chain? Why was it worse than it looks? And why is it worse than it can be? What game are you playing and who taught you? Are you talking about the stages that you never canceled shows on? And we all know, right, when they say blueprint, they're talking about hybrid theory. Once you get a theory of how the thing works, the blueprint is a gift and a curse. Hybrid theory, the blueprint for the machine, the theory of combining essence into form. Then he wants to go and do songs like High Voltage, which are all about the double helix and all that metaphysical, esoteric junk that Chester was spewing about needing to love himself and understanding self as a incorporeal entity of many faces. But he was just talking about sacred geometry and ancient alien species on High Voltage. And he was just talking about how he's doing the awakened dreamer, psychic nonsense, twisting the chords, right? Like, that's very interesting. And I just got to ask in sincerity, why do you know so much about the underground? Why do you all take that as a sign of pride? Why wouldn't you tell everybody to go away? Why wouldn't you get there and say, this is bad? And this brings me back to something I said in my previous live stream on YouTube, which is that, oh, this is a hard one. Come back. Oh, damn, that one slipped out. I saw you clearly and you're gone. Maybe I need to start talking on mic again. Let's see. Oh, you know what it reminded me of? That Kevin Hart and Drewski video where he had where Kevin spend the night with the whole crew. And this guy was like, I don't know the names of the people in the group, but I know he has a name. I just don't know. He was talking to Kevin about wanting to be an actor and be in the industry. And Kevin was like, oh yeah, bro, it's sweet. Like, I'll hook you up. And Drewski's sitting over the side, the sign my daddy guy. He was sitting right there and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are you not turning us away? Why are you not helping us out? You're literally lying to us. And that's true. That's how I feel. And that's my question. Is like, then he goes on to talk about all of this in his post-traumatic album, like his career, and it's in the fucking balance. Wow, you're so smart, stupid. Like, of course, what am I going to do? It's only my entire life. Yeah, like, that kind of stuff is concerning, especially when you listen to things like The Rising Tide. And then you look at all this music they put out with Chester, and then they don't stand behind any of it. But they want to make box sets. They aren't punks. Remember I said there was a difference? No, I'm anti-authority. He's not, okay? He likes it. He likes it. And that's the thing, is like, I can't tell if that's genuine or confused. I can't. I'm like, bro, you say some stuff sometimes. So to circle back to your question, Sandra D, about Mike, do I think he's a bad person? I don't think of people as bad or good. That's just not what I think. I think that people are a product of their circumstance in the same way that an object is manifest of its energy. They are the same thing. And I know that Mike's talked a lot about the racial challenges he's experienced in life, the fight to the top, kind of mentality, the I'm not being seen or can't be seen. I understand all those feelings. You know, I when I say I do my research on people, like I listen to what they say. And so with Mike, I have a hard time with the way he behaves. But do I think he's a bad person? No. I think I don't have words for him yet, except for the ones that I do have. And if he has something to say about what I am saying about him in my personal time when I'm over here doing my thing, and he is doing his thing, which he's very much so in love with, then like, okay. If he wants to come say something, he can come say something. If he doesn't, then, you know. I was telling somebody the other day, they're like, well, how come you don't go to the police? What's your protection in all this? And I'm like, nothing. My only protection is allowing people to be seen as what they are when they react and interact. You know, the only way I can be observed is through my being. Why is that different for anybody else? And Mike hasn't done anything to me. I'm not in Linkin Park. But he didn't ask questions. He hasn't checked in. He knows that I had a relationship with his wife that was essentially a mentorship, and he knows how that ended. And if he doesn't, then I guess they don't talk, and that's interesting. So, I don't know. But I also heard him say the other day some stuff that I've said. So I don't know if he's like, oh yeah, no, I see what he's doing. It's cool because I see that. But, or if it's like, I don't know what this is and I don't care to look, or, oh my God, this is stupid. You know, I don't know. But no, I don't hate Mike. I don't hate anybody. That's why people think I'm out here to go destroy lives. I'm not out here to call Shoutout out. I'm here to hold him accountable to his behavior. Okay? Period. The same way I would want to be held accountable. But don't be coming up in my comments saying I'm an insane drug addict when you know for a fact that's not true, and that's a fucked up thing to say. That's slander right there. Like, I could literally sue him right now. And I'm not going to. And that's not a pity vote from the community that I'm looking for. That's not like oh wow, you're so great. No, I'm not great. I mean, I am. But like, that's not great. I should, for my own protection, take legal action. But I'm not going to. Because I believe that it's you and me. Now, if he becomes more aggressive and somebody starts trying to, quote, prove some shit, of course we'll take a look at the evidence, but also, I'm not lying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing but transparency here. Oh, people's sound is gone. You guys have sound now? Oh no, how long did you guys not have sound? But yeah, I don't know if that was audible to many people, but no, I say things to people in hopes that they change, not in hopes that it causes more problems, but I'm aware that more problems. Just problems happen. But I can't stop existing so that other people can. It's just not something I'm into anymore. With that being said, you know, that brings me back to the conversation I had with somebody in my DMs the other day. And they're like, well, oh, sorry. I was reading comments. That conversation that somebody had with me about me looking crazy, and I think you're trying to place blame because we only see this, and that's why I asked you to open your minds just now. Almost demanded it. You know, I appreciate those interactions, and I had to tell them, you know, like I said, I don't always get to communicate about the positive things in my life. In fact, right now I'm in a deficit. I have to kind of climb out. Yes, Mike Shinoda's been good to me at times. Yes, so has Sean. Yes, so has Anna. Yes, so has Ryan. Okay. But there's a reason it's called a time. A time is a period, and that period has been over for a while. For a long time. I mean, we're going on 7 years here in July since that decline started, and I would say it's been easily 5-something years, almost 6 even, since I got any kind of interaction like that. So, but you know, I do have those memories. Like, whether or not my dad was murdered, Mike took my family to Kauai for a memorial trip, and that was really helpful, and that was really kind. The band members, I think, all split it. I don't remember, though. And that's where some of my confusion comes from, right? It's like, no, I've had things like that. Like, people come up to me and be like, I'll never turn against Mike Shinoda because he did X, Y, and Z for me. And I'm like, yeah, like, I understand that. I do understand that. And Mike was also a part of, Music for Relief and whatnot. So, yeah, they'd help meet and greets and all that. But like I said, a good person can shake a hand just as good as a good person. And maybe what I should have said is that a forward, honest person can shake hands just as good as someone who is not forward and dishonest. But yeah, I have lots of positive memories of Mike. I loved Project Revolution. Of course I did. But as I had to tell this person, that was the summer of blank. It's blank now. That was the summer of 2011, guys. That was just the summer. That was not my life. That was just a couple of shows over a period of time. And, my life is this. I don't get to be at summer camp all the time. Rarely do I get to be at summer camp. I have to make summer camp for me in my everyday life. Okay? So, no, I don't think in terms of bad or good. No, I am not trying to kill people when I talk to them, but I did mention this in my thing last year when I came fully to life in October, November. I said, I'm basically a spiritual warrior. I am a samurai honing my craft. And when I call you into the ring, that's because we have a weighted match. That's not a over judgment, under judgment. I don't know what I'm talking. No, I said, I just assessed you, Hunter style, and you better get the fuck over here because we're gonna talk. You know what I mean? And that's it. And so it is a battle to the ego death, so to speak, because either you're gonna change and you're gonna see your ways, or I'm gonna change and see your ways. It's a door that goes both ways. And it can also be ratios of those things. And that's it. So, when Sean Dowdell's over here saying, you have no life achievements, my response is to send as many receipts as I think is necessary because I'm that motherfucker. You don't get to talk on me like that. You don't get to pull up on me like that. Hell no. That's not justified. Now, if I did something that warranted that, that'd be a different story. But I think what you'll find less and less is that it's the other way around. I will talk about Anna and our relationship at a different time. It's not for now. That one really hurt. And she even knew that I was going public way before I did. It's hard for me to think that Mike doesn't know. And many of the people in this life that I have, I've loved all these people, every single one of them, through all of it. And I can say that it's equally out of spite as it is in acceptance. Because you're not going to kill me. You're not going to get it. You won't get it. But also, ouch. That did hurt. I think I might be dying. But yeah. And I think a lot of the times too, my dad definitely overshadows all of the things I have to say. All the things I have to do. Because he's a celebrity. That's what people think about. I say Chester's name, and even people who are talking to me normally in the chat will start talking like they got that fanatic in them, That's not a diss. That is a mentality. fanatical. It just suddenly turns into a thing about Chester. Only Chester. And it's like, what? We aren't even talking about that. So, yeah. I think that I love everybody and everything, and that most of, not all of the hate or anger that I manifest is a result of interactions with the people that I love. Would you believe it? And, but I love everybody though. Like, I'm just one of those kids. Like, I just always was that way. And yeah, so I'm open to any conversation with anybody for anything. But I'm also going to stand in my truth, and I will let you know when I think it's time for us to knock gloves, because I thought it was time for me and Sean to knock gloves. It took, 20 minutes? And then he ruined his career. And I put it on the gram. Jeez. So, you can't delete everything. You can only delete your comments. You can't delete mine. And I won't delete mine, so. And if I ever do, it's not about fixing it or making myself look better. It's about maybe the context of it, making sure that it actually fits the thing that's going on. Okay, and that leads me to update number 3, but I do have to ask G something real quick, because I've been thinking about the words for this, and it's really important. Stick with me, please. I will be back in like 5 minutes, maybe. They're not here. I thought they were here. They went to get food. And I forgot about that. I thought they had come back, but they actually left. Okay. But I got this. I don't need anybody's help. Because ultimately what I have to say isn't bad for me. But it is something we do need to open our minds to. And as a victim's right advocate, I cannot not address this. So, in my research about myself, and this is, let me take a step back. I'm gonna make a clean cut on that one. Now it's time for the community update number 3, and this is something that I've been working on expressing for a while. Like maybe a week. I thought about what to say and how to say it, because I'm not trying to paint a narrative. I'm trying to stay neutral. And I know that once I say things, it has the potential, and so ironic, but this could be the thing that gets me on the news. It could not be any of the other stuff. So, yeah. And I'll need all of your help, present and beyond, to keep the narrative straight, because as a creator you always have to make decisions that have meaning and impact, and this is one of those that it's my responsibility as somebody who is cognizant of it to bring it up And so I have to generate the space and the content of that space, which requires that people keep their cool. It requires that people speak to each other and hold each other when they need it, are in need of it, and that we maintain those rules of regulation that we talked about. Because this is that serious. So, as I've said, in my journey to becoming self-aware, I have researched myself. Those were the digital footprints I was talking about earlier, the 400-page manuscript and all that. And in the process of doing that, I uncovered many things. One of the things that came to my attention was that there was a massive cover-up on Chester when he was alive. Okay? They turned him into a family man, but that's not what happened. That's not what was going on. I am proof of that. And though it is true in some ways, of course, he was growing and he was the family guy. He was not the family man. And this whole a lot of weird things happened. Not only did they try to control what he was called and how he was looked at, how he was perceived, but they also tried to de-drug the band, make Linkin Park this kid-friendly, but not a joke because Transformers and Kids' Choice Awards, kid-friendly product that knew nothing about substance use or literally anything that wasn't these guys are stand-up men who are fathers and they're legends and that's it. And that's all you need to know and just leave it alone. They make great music. And when I started to dig into this, I was surprised to find that it was not only something that was, or an action that was performed by the industry, the label, but also by the band members themselves, the family members as well. And it's really sad and it's really scary and it's really frustrating to see him shackled up like that. And I think that opened my mind to a lot of possibilities in terms of who he could have been and why, and more than I was already open to. Hi guys. And so I started kind of taking in these alternative views of him, basically see him as different as possible every single time. Don't hold yourself to a thought that you have about somebody because you didn't even know that person. I didn't know him. I knew Dad. I did not know Chester. Chester was strictly off limits, but Dad was held at arm's length, never, if ever, rarely touching. Yes, there were hugs. Yes, there's the kiss on the face, whatever. But that's not authentic. That's a piece of the interaction. It's not the interaction. I didn't know my dad like that. When I saw the Tony Rokakis confirmation about the 2014 sex trafficking effort that Chester was a part of, I was just like, I did not know this. Why? I was just graduating high school at that point. I could have handled that. What the fuck? Why wouldn't you tell me? And, yeah. So, with that being said, over the years, my perspective on him has changed a lot. And at this point, when I started researching myself, I had already changed my mind about his suicide. I had already changed my mind about all that. But I was developing the space, bringing more information into context. So, I went on to do my thing, and a memory was triggered. And this memory actually cycled a couple of times. I wasn't allowed to talk about it before because I didn't have this platform, okay? But I have the opportunity now. And this memory was a memory of having a sibling who was a Bennington that was not recognized and hushed and sent away. I don't know the validity of this interaction. I just remember experiencing it. It was probably first or second grade. It had to have been like right when they were recording Meteora, because I had just met Chester. I didn't know he was my father until I asked. And then it took about a year, because he was touring Hybrid Theory, for him to be able to participate in any way. And I met him when I was like 6.5, I want to say. Something like that. And right after that, I had told, it got around, like, Chester was my dad. And I went to school. For those of you in Phoenix, Desert Palms Elementary is where I would go. Or where I went for like a year or two. And before I was taken out of school and homeschooled. But the kids there were confused, because one day I was Jaime, the silly little kid they like to bully. They like to bully. And then I was suddenly Chester's son, and people knew that, and I was talking about it. And people come up and be like, no, he's not. Like, what are you talking about? You know, Linkin Park was pretty new at that time. And I'd be like, yeah, he is. Like, I don't know. Like, he's just my dad. Like, what? You know, total fairy tale, right? Like, kid finds out they have a rock star dad. What the fuck? And that was my meeting Chester, you know? Like, just a kid from the streets of Phoenix finding out their father is a fucking world-renowned rock star rising to fame like a goddamn phoenix. And it's just like, he smashed so many walls, and so many people knew about it. His impact was massive. I can't deny any of you that. And this kid came up to me. I think it was at Desert Palms. It had to have been earlier on, because I didn't go to public school for a while. And they came up and they said, hey, you said your dad's Chester, right? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, this guy over here is saying that their dad is Chester. And that you're wrong. And I was like, well, I mean, I met him. Like, he was like physically touching me and like in my house. So like, you know, like, I wish I had them still. Elka has 2 pictures of us wrestling. Me, Isaiah, and Chester wrestling the day we met Chester. So cool. But, you know, he was there. He was a part of my reality. And they're like, well, they said that you're lying and that's actually their dad. And I was like, somebody must be messing with me, you know? And then I gained the confidence after a couple of days to like ask again. And they wouldn't answer. And then by the time that I got an answer out of them, they were like, who? And I was like, what do you mean who? You just said I have a sibling. What the fuck are you talking? You know, I didn't say it like that. I was a little kid, but you know, I'm already nervous talking to these people. I'm like, you said there was somebody? And they're like, yeah. But they're not here anymore. They like changed schools or something. And I never heard about them again. And I remember, I thought I told Elka. I could be wrong. But I told somebody. And somebody shut that down really fast, if that was the case. You know, saying that this was shut down. That this was real. You know, I considered that idea. I would often actually find, and this is how real it was to me, right? Like, whatever the situation was, it was that real to me. I would think to myself, like, oh, wow, like, my siblings are out here. Like, am I related to that person? Am I related to that person? You know, it would like, cross my mind as a kid. Eventually that disappeared. Well, pretty quick. Rock stardom is definitely something that will wipe that clean. But I feel like somebody interfered. I'm not sure how. But with that being said, you know, I wasn't able to share a memory like that before. And now I can. You know, I feel it's my responsibility to ask, or to put it out there, that I am open to this reality. And I accept the reality, and I'm here for you. I don't know why that's so hard to say. It's not. I genuinely don't have a problem with it, and that's my life's purpose. If there are more siblings out there who are unclaimed or unsure but have been told and have that experience of being minimized. I'm here for you. That's what this platform is for as well. It's for you. Everything I build is for you. Everything I build is for you. And with that being said, I had to come to the realization that a couple of other things might be true. And this happened in a progression of time, okay? I was approached by someone who further expanded that capacity for viewing Chester as a person and not as a god or an entity. They claim to be a person he was in love with who lived in a similar area or the same area, the same street, that Chester would go to them when they needed help because they couldn't trust everybody all the time, or they couldn't rely on a certain energy. And they were convincing. They were really convincing. I didn't like the way the conversation ended, and I called it out for what it was. It's very sus and very aggressive, but also like, how do you know someone's not being protective of themselves in that moment, right? So I try to be aware of that, but I still did not enjoy the interaction at the end. I'm not going to say who it was. I'm not going to say how many people have said things like this. I'm just going to say that I believe them. That this is also a space for them. And this is not a diss or a dig on anyone or anything. People are people. Relationships are relative. Things happen. It's not an excuse, it's an acknowledgement. To see my father as a person and not an entity. It was a practice of mine for a while. So I guess I got exactly what I asked for when going through that. But, if I see it in myself to have the capacity to be there for any potential siblings, then I also have to acknowledge inside there is the capacity for acknowledging any hidden partners. And partners in any way. Like, guys, I'm polyamorous, okay? I understand what intimate relationships look like, and they don't have to be sexual, okay? He had a lot of really close, special friends because he treated people like that, to my knowledge. That's what everybody tells me. And so, I'm here for you. I'm here for the siblings. I'm here for, or I guess any unclaimed siblings. I'm here for the hidden partners. And this brings me to like the most shocking part, right? I will always believe the victim unless it's proven otherwise, because it's too easy to hide. It's too easy. With this shit going on with Drake right now, I don't give a fuck. Y'all need protection. And this is the like extreme, when people were asking me like, how did Sean like, how did you feel about that? You must be out of your mind right now. No, this is pretty normal. In fact, the kind of energy that I am sensitized to is so extreme, most people can't even hang for fun. They're like, oh, fuck. Oh, what? And this is one of those things. And it's super serious. And this is the one where I'm like, y'all need to be respectful, and you all need to show love, and you all need to, if you're going to be a part of this, like, no twisting it. This is what it is. After all this research and all this conscious expansion, I was made aware by somebody who I trust that there may be an SA victim. And this person came out a while ago. This person then went to Reddit for it. And as far as I'm aware, they just left it where they left it. I don't know if he did this. I don't know if this is a partial truth. I don't know. But I have to hold space for everyone. And as far as I'm concerned, I believe the victim. It's unfortunate. And I don't see it. Like, I can see it when I'm seeing it, right? Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, of course it's possible. Anything's possible. I didn't know him like that. I certainly didn't know him back then. And now it's like, yeah, but aren't you the goofy, funny guy that was my dad? Like, I watch LPTV. I watch these interviews. I have memories of them all the time that make me laugh. Like the other night when I was on live and on YouTube, I was behind a painting. I laughed really hard. I explained, I was like, he literally just like flashed me in the eyes with his essence. And so I don't know how to take that. I can only acknowledge that I don't know him like that. And that a lot was kept out of the picture and a lot was changed by the people in his life to be something that it wasn't. That there were a number of cover-ups. That there were a number of fallings out. There were a number of things. And because I support victims no matter what, I have to side with them until it is proven otherwise. And again, this is not about Chester being anything. This is about what I have to assume are true stories being shared for during the need for catharsis. I'm just acknowledging what I saw. And it cannot be ignored. I will not let another person go down quietly. That's ridiculous. There's no need to. I'm here, right now. And, yeah. If there's anybody out there who is a victim of my father's, I will take you with discretion, open arms, and I will stand by you. I will support you. So shout out to the unclaimed siblings, shout out to the hidden partners, shout out to any potential victims. I am sorry that a lot of people are being shut down by this whole process. You guys experienced a microdose of it back in October, November when I tried to go live and everybody was getting reported and restricted and locked out and hacked and for just sharing my videos. Notice, guys, how it hasn't been happening now. Something to keep in mind. No one's tried to hack my accounts. So that's really all there is to say tonight. Tonight we went over rules and regulations. We went over the nature of the platform, where it comes from, where it's going. We talked about the timeline. We talked about community update number 3, which was the need to address publicly and calmly and lovingly that I have a hunch there are, from memory, I have a hunch that there are unclaimed Benningtons out there that I am here for, that there are hidden partners who are scared to come forward, and that there are victims out there who have either given up and lost hope or are fine now, and they just made their peace with it. And that's a shout out to them. So, all I will say about Chester is that he was a person of many walks of life and many influences, and that he was, by all accounts I can find, except for when I ask for verification. They'll say it, but then when I ask it again, they change their mind. My father was a victim of SA. He was a victim of a lot of things, even before he became famous. It's one of the reasons that he most likely left grade A's. I don't mean to make that correlation, but like I said, Sean threatened violence on my father, Sean threatened violence on me. Patterns are patterns. So, it's with a heavy heart that I acknowledge that I must acknowledge these things, but in specific, these acknowledgments that I made in Community Update 3, but it's necessary. And, you cannot be ultimately transparent. You cannot be a victim's right advocate. You cannot be a voice of reason in a social setting if you do not walk the walk. And this is walking the walk. I now know too much to be quiet. So I've made up my mind about it. I hope that this doesn't turn into a ridiculously absurd wildfire. But, I do have to acknowledge that reality. And another reality that I also acknowledged is that he might not even be dead. And that has actual evidence behind it in some implied way. But yeah, man, I don't know. I went from believing Chester's suicide 100% and supporting it, and I still support suicide, which is the craziest thing to say out loud, but it's true. I respect you and your choices. I would love to. I hope that you have help, but I hope you find this and you can find help here. But still, I supported it. I was still behind it. I still am behind it. And because I realized that people are people and life is not one tone. And then sorry guys, that was a lot of energy. I don't even remember what I was talking about. That wiped straight out. Oh yeah, I changed my mind. Yeah. I went from being a supporter of suicide, which I still am, but specifically of his suicide, to someone who realized there was something deeply wrong with the way that they were able to retrieve their memories and engage with their emotions. And when I set out to find that, I ended up finding all these truths about my father, and they're all virtual. Everything's on the table until it isn't. But, with that being said, I changed my mind. I do have evidence that there is strangeness afoot, and that it is not as simple call the police answer. And so really these Community 3 updates, or the things acknowledged in the Community 3 update, they're more so an extension of the total evolution of my consciousness. And actually, for this person saying this right now, I'll just say it, no. No, actually, there's no proof that he died. The autopsy was performed, sure. But it was also leaked. There were a couple of other things that happened. And also, nobody saw the body. As far as I'm aware, nobody saw it. It was cremated before anybody saw it. So, no. I never saw my father. And yes, that could be a factor of the grieving. It could be a factor of the situation, Maybe he is dead, and they did the autopsy report, and he's in a jar as ashes. That's totally reasonable. But also, what's more, or equally as reasonable, not more, equally reasonable, is that we didn't see a body, and I didn't see a lot of other things, but it doesn't mean those lots of other things aren't there. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So, it's just interesting that a lot of things happened, and so everything's on the table until it isn't. I've never gotten the ashes DNA tested, so I don't know. And I'm not even sure if that's possible, but Yeah. Anyways, no, there is no actual proof that he died. And there's a lot to suggest that something else was afoot. I mean, 2 hours in, and they decide that there's no foul play, but they didn't look anywhere than the bedroom. And then the LASO is like totally off of it. So, it's interesting. I feel like homicide detectives should be employed just to find out, right? So, yeah, I think I'm done. I think that's it for tonight. I will be making little tiny announcements on the things that I just talked about, so that they're not in a 3-hour, almost 4-hour live stream. But for now, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. You know, open your mind, stay tuned to everything. I'm sorry to those who have been affected. I hope that we can all grow together and heal, and that would be really cool. So, and we're doing it. We're already doing it. I just see it in the future. Okay. Yeah, I guess I kind of could end on the Chris Cornell note. I'm pretty sure, but I can't be totally certain, that Chester died on Chris Cornell's birthday. And for all of you out there who want to see something interesting, read Chester's foreword to Self-Made Millionaire by Freemason and bully Shoutout. Go ahead and observe how he twisted Chester's words to sell his book. And go ahead and observe how Chester doesn't use dates but ages. Try to create a timeline. Go around and see if certain things match up. Investigate respectfully. Okay, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you later. Well, I guess tomorrow, because we're doing the meditation. And yes, I'm saving the live. It will be saved.